Just how safe are our campuses? Higher Education Minister Naledi Pandor is joining us now from our studios in Pretoria, Botswana. Minister, good morning, and thank you very much for your time this morning. Firstly, let's just get an overriding reaction from you as head of the Higher Education Department to these two incidents of violence that we saw at the weekend in KwaZulu-Natal.
Good morning, Dan, and good morning, Iveka, and all the viewers. Let me begin by expressing my most sincere condolences to the families of the young people who have lost their lives in the past 2 days. I am deeply saddened by the events that have occurred on the two campuses in KwaZulu-Natal province, University of Zululand and University of KwaZulu-Natal. And the police are currently investigating. I believe there have been 2 arrests. And I really see no reason for the violence that has been reported. Of course, one of the deaths of a student of UniZul is related to a car accident. But the student who was attacked after he allegedly stabbed his roommate, that is unwarranted, and I think we need to ensure that on our campuses we conduct ourselves in an appropriate manner and we don't have violence as a means of resolving any problem. I will be consulting with Universities South Africa so that with Vice-Chancellors we put our heads together to ensure that we find a way of addressing the maybe deep challenges that are confronting young people, and in particular ensure that we create an atmosphere in our universities and colleges where we can have people conducting themselves without resorting to violence, even if there's a quarrel or a difficult situation. There is no excuse for violence.
Well, Minister, I suppose the question is, how do you go about bringing about that sort of good behaviour or getting them to behave like the young adults that they are? Because essentially these are young adults. If you are at a tertiary institution, you are an adult. So how do you actually police? It's easier maybe to police children who are in school, in primary school and high school, but this poses a particular challenge when they are actually grown-ups.
Well, as you would know, we are confronted with a society that's bedeviled by violence, and particularly violence within the personal sphere. So I think we need to do much more about educating young people and our society broadly on how you deal with conflict, how you negotiate yourself out of quarrels without resorting to violence. I also, with one of the cases, want to look at the issue of alcohol, because I understand it was at a function or party at residence where the incident occurred. And I believe there is an association between alcohol and some of the incidents that we see on our campuses, and this is something that I would like to see urgently attended to.
Now, Minister, your department, you're responsible for the content of what happens and higher education policy matters. University management need to manage the various campuses. From where you're sitting, what kind of support do you envisage giving campuses to ensure that there's no violence?
Well, what we've done from this year is we've provided a fairly substantial grant that we call a University Capacity Development grant, which has the intention of improving support for students and particularly student services on campuses, ensuring that we have appropriate provision for counseling, because a lot of this is about conduct. It's about, when I'm with my friend and we have a discussion, do we resort to fists towards each other? Or can we actually continue to have an adult discussion and resolve our difference of opinion without someone pulling out a knife or a gun. I think it's a matter of improving student services, it's ensuring counselling is available, and also ensuring that the university life and milieu created for young people is one that gives rise to the correct values and respect for each other.
Minister, I suppose also there's another layer to this, a secondary issue, which is now the incident of mob justice that we saw that happened at the University of Zululand after that stabbing, where we saw students taking matters into their own hands and beating up the suspect. That also has to be of particular worry or concern to you as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think that one is absolutely unwarranted, and I was shocked that it happened. But again, it's a signal of a deeply, deeply troubled community and society. And I think we are certainly urged to do much more about engaging with young people and ensuring we address these matters. We are finalizing the policy on violence and abuse on campuses, and I'm hoping this will be adopted. But as I said, I think what I need to do is continue the deliberations and work we've been doing with the Minister of Police to enhance security on our campuses, but also I think an urgent meeting with University South Africa, with the Vice-Chancellors, should be held to look at what we do.
Minister, as we conclude our discussion, when would you like to see that urgent meeting happening?
Within the next few days. It's urgent in my view, and I will be meeting Minister Cele. We've been speaking to each other. I also think student organizations must certainly grapple with this matter, but it's also, this is crime. Murder is crime, assault is crime, and I think our students need to be alert to the fact that we will not tolerate crime on our campuses. It's just unwarranted. It's something we don't want to see taking root on our campuses, and any person who commits a crime must face the full might of the law.
I'm sure many people would agree with that, Minister. It is at that time of the year when the students are preparing for the final year exams and heading into the last part of the year. And in these two cases, we've seen reports of students saying they are traumatized after what they witnessed, especially that mob justice incident that we saw in one of the campuses in UKZN. And the parents, I mean, some of the students come from far-flung places to go and study at these campuses. What would your message be at this time, both to the students and their families? Very briefly, Minister.
Well, the universities have both put in place support measures for students who may have been directly affected by these incidents. I know at University of Zululand, for example, the student counselling services have been availed to students who may feel that they need that sort of help, and similarly at University of KwaZulu-Natal. So we should continue to provide support to young people, to students, to ensure that they can carry on with their academic work. In many of our institutions, we did lose some time this year, and I really am keen that our young people are supported to be able to continue with their academic work, because they are in university in order to undertake a program of study and complete it. So we must make counseling services available. We should look to the mental health of young people so that they are able to continue with their studies, complete this academic year, and continue next year and complete their degrees. That's really the objective. All of us must provide support to.
Thanks very much. That's Minister of Higher Education Naledi Pandor in our